Hello children, in this video we will be doing interview questions. Now what are interview questions? Interview questions are those kind of questions when we have any celebrity or any guest who is visiting us on any function, event, and when we have to interview or when we have to ask them some questions related to their field, to their success, to their career. These are called as interview questions. So how are we supposed to frame these questions? What are the ways and methods? Let us see them. So how to frame interview questions? So these are some of the rules that you need to follow in order to frame interview questions. The first is we have to use WH questions. So always start your question with WH questions like who, when, which, where, etc. Only a few times, like suppose you have to give at least 10 questions. So from these 10 questions, you can use 1 or 2 questions as a normal question, like beginning with isn't, aren't, okay? Next is you need to use a question mark. So you need to always see to it that you put a question mark at the end of your question. Then your questions should be clear. You should not, elongate your questions, twist and turn. It should be direct. And also your questions should be logical. It should be to the person whom you're asking. It shouldn't be illogical. And you have to give 10 questions, not less than that. Next is you need to use proper tenses. You need to see that which tense is used. Next is your question should be short. It should not be long. Then the last point is give a proper introduction and conclusion to the interview. So children, always remember, when you start an interview, you do not just start with the questions. First, you welcome your guest. You speak some words or you say some thank you words to the guest. And then you start with your questions. And when you finish your questions, you thank the person whom you are interviewing for giving his or her precious time. So this is called as the introduction and conclusion. So this is an example of how interview questions are written in English composition. So there is a question here. The question is, a world famous women sports person was invited to the inter-school sports meet. You were asked to interview her. So here you need to prepare 10 questions that you would like to ask that sports person or a woman. So this is an introduction that is being given when this sports person visits or is coming to an event. So it goes as follows. Hello ma'am, all of us here are delighted and blessed to have you with us. I am honored to be given the role of an interviewer today. Ma'am, I would like to ask you a few questions. So this is an interview introduction. Okay, you introduce yourself, because whenever anything happens or you write anything or give a speech, there's always an introduction. So this is an introduction to interview questions. Then you start with your questions related to the person whom you're taking the interview on. So the first question goes on like, when was it that you discovered your potential in the field of sports? What is your forte or your main strength in the game of tennis? Now children, you need to be straight on the point. Do not try to twist and turn the questions. Always ask the question on the personality, career or success. Do not try to, go out of the way or try to frame illogical questions. Always use proper tenses, put a question mark. So next question is, who has been your main inspiration in your life? How are you rated by the media and the sports people around you? These are normal questions which you need to ask a particular person. Now this particular question is based on a sports person. The questions can be to a celebrity, an actor, it can be anyone, a social worker, a politician, anyone. It can also be your own class or school friend who has got a lot of marks, like excelled in the 10th standard, whom you are interviewing. So it can be anyone. So accordingly, you need to know what type of introduction you have to give, what questions you need to frame, and what conclusion you need to give. So in this way, you can see there's one question here. To what extent did your family support you when you decided to play tennis? Now in this, we have the WH, but it starts with to. So in this way, there can be an exception that you can use aren't, isn't, in one or two questions. But majority of your questions should begin with WH. Then we have the conclusion. It goes like, you have told us so much that we were unaware of. Thank you, ma'am, for giving us your precious time. Thank you. So this is the way you conclude your questions with. You thank the person whom you are interviewing. So with this, we conclude with interview questions. Thank you.